Yeah. But Schro, how's life treating you, my friend?
Life is treating me pretty well. There's a lot going on right now with well, obviously Dragonfell is starting up here soon. Very excited for
Certainly
that.
is July the 1st.
Oh yeah, excited to get back in it with friends. Like got a lot of things planned, so like having that in the back of my mind for the next week is a little bit like not not anxious. That's not the right word, but I'm very antsy to get going for it.
Oh,
And
I
then
know how you
also,
feel.
oh yeah, also just dealing with school. Like once again, this is my last semester before I get my associate's degree, so just kind of pumping it out and seeing seeing how well I can get through it and still being able to stream in the meantime. It's There's a
Uh,
lot on my plate, but I'm a hungry guy, so I'll take a lot.
I mean, you've got this. We love the king energy. You
Oh
exude
yeah.
it. We love it. No, I
Uh,
remember when I was finishing up my degree, because I finished up my degree during COVID.
mm,
And we were in lockdown, so I actually had a lot more time to stream. And it was weird for me because I'd spend like all day doing my degrees and my dissertations, and then I'd spend all night streaming, and I just wouldn't sleep.
just wouldn't sleep.
It just
Oh no,
wasn't.
I gotta get some sleep.
And this is the thing. I value sleep so much. I'm just terrible at it.
Mm.
Like, once I'm asleep, I don't wake up for anything but my alarms. But just on a normal day, just the simple art of going to sleep is something that eludes me.
I say I never need more than like 6 or 7 hours. Like I can never sleep more than that, but there's just a certain point in the day. I've got a very active mind. Like when
So,
I'm awake, my brain is going nonstop, and usually so is my mouth. So when it's time to sleep, it's time to sleep.
that is fair, and I'm sure your beloved partner is quite happy that is the time you decide to be quiet.
Oh yeah, oh yeah.
I am just envisioning you both settling down for an evening, and you're just still going like 10 to the dozen, just
I mean,
non-stop reeling out.
I don't know if this means much to you, but she is from New Jersey. So if you've
Oh,
seen any of
Jersey.
Jersey Shore, it, it can be assumed that she also enjoys talking quite a
Yeah,
bit.
yeah. Like perhaps don't have the same insight as Americans to New Jersey, but I know of New Jersey, and I have seen parts of Jersey Shore because in the UK we made a requisite show called Geordie Shore, and the Geordies are very much like those from Jersey. They're very
Oh
active
yeah.
in their talking, in their vices, is how I will put it.
Hmm.
Very active in their vices, and they enjoy very particular aspects of life.
Oh yeah.
But I think
Yeah.
that is
No.
possibly the most political way I could put that.
Yeah. It is. It's pretty easy. Pretty. Easy to say that. We are usually the two loudest in the room when we get there. Which. Yeah.
It's fun. You gotta let people know you're there,
Oh
and
yeah.
then
Absolutely. I like to
never let them
announce
forget it.
myself.
See, I know what you mean, but I'm expecting you to say it at the same time to just walk in, do the splits, and scream "Schro is here."
Yeah, honestly, that's 90% of my entrances. That's how
Good,
I
good,
go to the
good.
bank. Yeah.
At that point, I think they just give you money without even you just like, yeah, I'm here to make a deposit. No need, just take it. It's yours. That woman in the corner, she's not getting the deposit on her house, but by God, you deserve that money for the
Yeah.
splits. When we saw the hammies, we were like, yeah, he deserves the money more than everybody else.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Especially summertime. Oh man, got
Oh
my
yeah.
little shorty shorts going. Those hammies are living out.
Yeah. Okay. Got the booty shorts on, just like the hammies out, thighs out, calves out.
Oh
You know,
yeah.
people just flock to you and give you money. It's beautiful.
Oh yeah.
This is exactly how I imagine America works.
Yeah.
Yeah.
America's crazy. It's all about that upper leg.
There's nothing wrong with the tasteful bit of thigh. It has to be tasteful though. You can't go too much.
Oh no, of course, of course. I'm a 3-inch inseam kind of guy.
I mean, I'm a 4-inch kind of guy, but I
Ah,
appreciate the three. I appreciate the three.
of course.
But
Yeah. I mean,
I'm quite tall. I've got long legs. I need just like a little bit more coverage.
yeah. See, not I.
No,
We don't have to go into the equation for
you're a short king.
meters to. Yeah,
You're a
exactly.
short king. Nah,
Exactly.
like I'm just over 6'2", so I need, and a lot of that height is in my legs, so I need to just like cover that little bit extra, otherwise people start giving me tips in the street. And
Oh man.
it's
Oh,
even worse at work now because we're going through a heat wave at work. So I'm wearing shorts at work, and I have to very strategically find the nice middle point between shorts that aren't overly conservative because I'll still be too warm, but I can't wear
mhm.
short shorts in work because for one I'll get lambasted, and for two it's just not appropriate. I work
Oh
around
man.
like processing aluminium, and it's all very sharp and very heavy, and I feel like some 3-inch booty shorts are not the appropriate time for the occasion.
Maybe not. Get some cargo pockets in that though. Should be fine.
Oh yeah, I work in trade. I'm a big fan of pockets.
Oh, yeah.
All
See,
the
for
pockets.
my day-to-day attire uniform, I'm wearing spandex tights and booty shorts. So like I'm always showing all the leg.
Well, that's weird
But
because that's what I wear as soon as I finish work. You know, I've always got to be prepared for any occasion where I need to break out in song and dance.
oh yeah, see, I understand that. I understand that. I no, because I've gotten a little bit more into creating jingles throughout my day. So I feel like I'm also always ready for a little bit of a song and dance.
Good.
It's almost it's wild being a professional dancer. It's almost like the spontaneous dance comes a little bit less naturally than the jingles at this point.
That is now. If you were to have a jingle or some form of interpretive dance to describe our friendship, what would it be, Schro?
Oh
I'm putting you on the spot.
man.
I'm putting you on the spot here in front of people live, and when this eventually goes out on YouTube, this is the spotlight. You've got the floor, Schro.
Oh, okay. Whew. We're hanging with Prof. We're just monkeying around. It's the Subathon, the podcast heard around town. It's all smiles here, you wouldn't ever see a frown. And if you wanted to support, you put 5 subs down. Oof, that's what I got.
That's beautiful. That was beautiful.
Thank you.
A tear to my eye.
Nerve wracking.
You know, I just like to give up and coming creative individuals their platform and put them out into
Of
the
course,
world. You know.
of course, of course.
Yeah.
I am still an up and comer.
I, but this is the thing. Like, I grew up with theatrical background, and I've seen so many people go through all facets of theatre, and believe me, Schro, you're doing a lot better than a vast majority.
Oh yeah, I'm ready to put my acting skills to the test this next season. I know a lot of people are doing lots of YouTube videos, and if
You
anybody
know
needs
it.
a character to be played, I'm just gonna be a little fairy Schro, a little
Mm,
sprite.
a fairy god Schro.
Exactly.
Exactly. Coming in, giving all the wishes out. There's always a catch. Literally always a catch.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. But that sounds beautiful. I think that'll be amazing. Just to everyone will be doing like take my darkness storyline. Like I'll just be doing a nice in-depth like monologue. And just you appear.
Oh, I'm ready. You just let me know what's up. I'm not going to be making any of my own YouTube videos, but I would love to be a part of other people's.
I will more than happily bring you on board.
Oh, perfect.
This thing, my acting experience was limited to a younger age. I predominantly did more acting rather than singing, but I did musicals, but I preferred acting. And I am now fully envisioning myself stood in like a dark corridor and full on's like, to be or not to be, that is the question. And you come along singing the Schro jingle. It's Prof and Schro.
Oh yeah, very much like a little frog in a top hat. The hello my honey, hello my baby,
Hello, my
right
tongue
here."
girl. Baby, my heart's on fire. Oh, that's
Love
beautiful. I'm going to write that into a script. Exploring dungeons, and you're going to be a reoccurring thing, which every couple hallways, it's just you, like, doing the can.
Oh, the kid. Oh man.
And then when we get to the end, you're the final boss doing Dance of the Sugar Plum Fairy.
I'm ready. I've been practicing that one for years.
Yeah. Just, we open on a dark room, lit only by a singular blue light. A sound is heard. Bum, 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 bum. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the stage, SchroFoSho.
Thank you. I'm here all week.
Literally, he won't leave. We've been trying. We even gave him money, and then he got his thighs out. It was weird.
Yes. Ooh.
Oh.
You give me an inch, I'll get a mile. Like
Excuse me, I just asked you to help me across the road. Why did you move in? I'm always going to help you cross the road. I'll be honest, this is not how I saw the podcast starting.
Just a little banter. A little bit of banter.
A little bit of back and forth between two distinguished gentlemen.
Oh yes, I am in a full suit right now.
I am, but it's camouflage.
Oh, of course. Oh, being an American, I know all about camouflage.
Oh yes. Being British, we wear the camouflage mainly to escape from situations that we created. So I'm very used to the camouflage.
Of course.
And yeah, it just happens to appear in the facet of a grey t-shirt and green shorts. I wore my green shorts for you though, Schro.
Oh, I do love green.
Yeah, exactly. I know you. Like we're on the same wavelength, Schro. Like
Yes.
this is how the inception of Buff Bros will become a thing.
Oh, I can't wait.
The Buff Bro for show.
Bro for show. I'm very excited. One, to continue the progress in the gym, and to continue the progress pictures being spread throughout the community.
Oh yeah, it's got to be done. I've had a couple of days off the gym, just because I was preparing for the subathon and I was working.
Oh yeah, I've been getting a little bit too into school, but I've still been going at least 3 times a week. Keeping the gains up.
Oh yeah, it's got to be done.
We need some buff builds for show. That's what we need.
Yeah. Do not worry, my friend. I have plans for us.
Yeah, I've always been planning on my statue of Schroberty or statue of Liver Schro, where it's just a large copper statue of myself. But I think at this point it might be best to just add some muscles to that bad boy.
I mean, it's got to be done.
It's got to be done.
Yeah, exactly. But the thing is, sure, why do you go to the gym? That is something good. Because I'm very, very, very much into the gym. It's something that I'd been a few times, but I started last summer, and it has been one of the biggest transforming points in my life. I lost loads and loads of weight. I've gained loads and loads of muscle, and I'm a big believer in the gym. And I know that you probably go to the gym, especially based on your career and like your vocation. You need to stay fit and healthy and have the stamina of a Greek god.
Of course, yes.
Yes.
Mostly to become more godlike, of course.
I don't know if you can, but yeah.
So especially during the summer, because as a ballet dancer, it's contracted work. Like, I'm going to be brought back for the next season. Like, I've got that assurance, but it is seasonal. Like, throughout the summer months, we don't really work as much or at all. Like, I've got small jobs that I do to where I'm still like dancing and performing, but I don't have my normal career at my normal company for about 3.5 months over the summer. So it's just about I go to the gym to kind of keep up with my physical state,
It's understandable.
and try to stay in shape. But also, I work out throughout the season too, just because being a short king, I never really had the ideal, what would they say, the ideal body type for ballet. So I have put a lot of work into sort of both combat uh, and navigate getting to a place where I am viewed as good enough, but also overcoming the sort of mental barrier of believing in myself enough and understanding that the way I look is good enough. So I think a lot of it is like sort of a mental thing for me, is just getting the confidence to be okay with the way I look, but also fitting in with where I work.
That is very fair, but it's a testament to your didacticism and your effort, the fact that you have gotten as far as you have in ballet despite not having that stereotypical physique or structure.
Hmm.
And I think it's very much a testament to you and your character that you've been able to sculpt yourself into the position where you can continue with it.
Ah, yeah, I appreciate that a lot. No, I feel like I've worked really hard, and outside looking in, I can see the work that I put in, and I'm really proud of myself. Like I I've been dancing now for 22 years, and
Look at
only
you go.
yeah, pretty crazy. And about 6 of those being professional years where I've been paid to do what I love. So there's a lot of work that's gone into it, but
Absolutely, and
yeah.
like I said, it's very much a testament to yourself because like you'll know, and I've had limited experience, but most thespians and those who go into the arts know it's such a competitive field,
Oh yeah.
and like very easily, like maybe one in every 5 to 10,000 make it into a successful position, and
Hmm.
it's such an incredibly competitive field that it shows that you've obviously got a requisite of skill for it, and you've got yourself to that requisite skill, and it shows. And I think that's something very incredible. It shows a lot of character and a lot of determination. Because, like you said, you haven't got the stereotypical born and bred physique for ballet, being like which you usually see in men of quite a small, slim esque but very muscular individual.
Hmm.
But you, in your own way, have adapted to that and made ballet and dancing and theatre quintessential to you and your life, and put in that effort, and I think it's very commendable.
Oh yes. Yeah. One of the things that I'm kind of known for is never going 50% on anything. I like in ballet, I don't know if they call it that in acting, but when you mark something where you like do it halfway just so you can understand the spacing and the movement and how the stage is filled up. Um, I'm known for never marking. Even when we're told, "Oh, you can take it easy on this run." I'm going 100%. I'm always trying to work harder and better myself, even when I'm told to relax. Almost to a fault sometimes, but
I mean,
yeah, no.
I can't say I blame you. And yeah, in terms of acting and like traditional stage acting and slightly bridging Dean towards musicals, we have a very similar process in which, especially, it's more apparent in musicals, in which you kind of undergo multiple phases, in which you'll have the acting phase, you'll have a dancing phase, and have a singing phase, and then you have to just kind of shove it all together and hope for the best.
Mm,
I
gotcha.
don't know what it's like in a more professional setting. Cause I only did amateur. I did amateur theatre, and I only really performed to a couple hundred people at my absolute peak. And yeah, we kind of just wung it. I'll be honest. Like one of the first musicals I ever did, and well, it was also the first and the last musical I ever did, was Les Miserables.
Ooh.
And yeah, both times I did that, it was very much a case of we got the acting down, we got the singing down, we got the dancing down, shoved it all together, hope no one died. and that it was just perpetually like, I don't know, I enjoyed it. I've got an immense love for the theatre. I have quite an enjoyment for ballet, and it's a shame 'cause I don't actually get to see too much ballet around here. Because in the UK, you'll find you get a lot of like classics performed in places like London. You get like Giselle played and Swan Lake and the Nutcracker and Sleeping Beauty and all those kind of things. You get a lot of like classics played, especially around Christmas. But you don't see as in depth. Ballet is it's rife and very active in the UK, but you don't see it as much on the big stage. If you get what I mean.
Oh, of course. I think like the UK has got, I think, very large companies. Like the Royal Ballet is a big one
Yeah,
over there. But those tickets are incredibly expensive, and because they have got such a big fish, almost a whale, like it kind of fills up a lot of the pool for smaller companies. So it's a lot harder
yeah,
for those smaller companies or smaller troops to get their shows out there and perform them in a way that people will want to come when they could watch the top dog do it.
yeah.
So I
And
definitely understand.
when it comes to something like the Royal Ballet, it's very much like one of, not just in the UK, it's one of the world's like peaks of ballet.
Yes.
And like it was founded in 1926, and ever since then it's always been, even to this day they only accept 16 students per year. And
Yeah.
it's not even necessarily limited to UK students. They take international students from all across the world, but like 16 students. That is. I think they do. I think there's 4 years of courses. I think they do. It's either
Mhm.
3 or 4, something around there. But that only constitutes like 50 students at most who've got to put on the cream of the crop levels of ballet, and there is no room for failure. Like that,
Mm-mm.
the second you show a margin of failure, you're done. You're,
Yeah.
you're very, very much done. But yeah, but
Yeah.
I think ballet is a beautiful, beautiful art form, and I think ballet is a beautiful form of expressionism, and I think it presents a way to tell a story that is so innately unique from the traditional opera and then the traditional musical and the traditional stage. And I think ballet finds its own little, I would not say little, but its own niche within it, and I think it's an immensely like beautiful, beautiful art form.
Oh yeah. I love being able to tell stories like if you could like as expressive as I am when I'm streaming. And I try to present myself as very expressive and fun, and like I try to put as much emotion and vulnerability into my streaming as possible. I feel like I show even more of that when I'm dancing, and I feel so blessed that I'm able to live my dream, not just like doing a job that I love, but doing just an act that I love. I'm performing an art. It's not just I've learned to love my job. I've learned to make a job out of doing what I love. And I'm incredibly blessed and fortunate to be in this situation that I know not a lot of people are able to do. So,
So and
yeah, no.
like I said, it's
I
incredibly
love it.
commendable, and it goes back to the age old saying is if you love what you do, you'll never work a day in your life.
Oh, yeah. I'm not
And
working.
yeah, like, and it really is a testament because so few people in the world end up being able to do a job that they truly, truly love. A lot of people end up working for money, and there's nothing wrong with that. I do it, and there's nothing wrong with how anybody is living. But to be able to do a job that you just love through and through, and to be an art form that you feel so passionately about, that must be one of like the most rewarding things in life. Like it's definitely one of those moments like when you're performing on a professional level, you're like, well, I did it. I did it.
Yeah. It's it's pretty fantastic. Absolutely love it.
Can I ask though, what was like your point in life where ballet became like a focal point in your life, and what like instigated that step into ballet? Because I know a lot of people end up doing like variations of dance, and then ballet, like they'll pick their favorite, or like someone will see something that has like that spark moment as a child, like watching like the Nutcracker as a child, and you see something you're like, well,
Mhm.
I want to do that. Do you have like a defining moment or moments in life that really pushed you towards ballet? and push you towards the theater?
I do actually. Like I said, like I've been dancing for 22 years since I was 3. So before I had any concept of what I actually enjoyed doing, like I was dancing because my parents were both involved in theater. They were thespians. Like my dad was a theater minor in college, and they were involved with like the local theater in my hometown, and through working with that theater, they networked a little bit and got involved in the local ballet studio because they needed people to perform in their Nutcracker. Like they needed a grandma, they needed a grandpa, they needed a Drosselmeyer. Like they needed people that could act, that could be non-dancing roles. So then they got involved with the ballet studio in town. And when I was born, they were like, oh, might as well put our boy in ballet. So that's kind of what got me involved in it to begin with. But then after that, like I went through the typical like elementary school where, oh, you do something different than we do. That's not okay. Like obviously getting bullied because I'm a boy in central Indiana, kind of middle of nowhere, that is doing ballet every day, which obviously there's nothing wrong with it, but it's different than the norm. So it's going to cause problems. It's going to cause a little bit of bullying, which is upsetting to say, but kind of how that works with children. So yeah, I grew up when I first started ballet, not really caring because it was just something to do. And then getting into elementary school and middle school, started getting bullied for it. At which point I really just didn't like ballet, resented my parents for putting me in ballet, and I wanted to quit. And they were like, just stick with it a little bit more. Like, once you're like 12, you can decide if you fully want to quit or not. Like, we'll let you make that decision, but we want you to stick with it until then. And then when I was 12, this is my defining moment, I'd say. I went to a summer intensive, which a summer intensive is like a sort of summer camp where you go to a big company or sometimes a big school, and they have classes where you can train. Like kind of if you like a NFL combine where like big teams will like host a training camp for prospective players that they want to help get better. Same thing happens in ballet at a summer intensive. I went to Houston Ballet's summer intensive, which is one of the better ones here in America. And obviously, I went to work hard. Like I was not in it 100% because I still didn't fully like ballet. But once I got there, I realized just how many other males were doing this, how many other male dancers there were. Because where I grew up, it was just me. I was the only boy. So when people said boys don't do ballet, all I could say was, well, yeah, I suppose you're right, because I was the only one who did it. But going to this summer intensive, I realized that other guys were doing this. And it just gave me a sense of belonging that I didn't have before. So that's when it opened my eyes in like this could be something that I would enjoy now that I know this new information. Yeah. It was yeah.
It's really nice to hear that though, because I love to hear if people. Firstly, I love to hear that to see if people have that defining moment in life. Because some people do genuinely stay in the theatre or stay in a subject just because that's what they're used to. But
Hmm.
to hear that somebody has such a passion and you've overcome the bullying, which like all across the arts is like especially a lot of men in the arts, there's a large wave of bullying and like discrimination due to men being in the arts,
Hmm.
and it is so it's just really nice. And if anything, I hope if anybody hears it and hears how you found your moment, managed to find your success, I hope that it in turn can inspire somebody, because it is really really nice to hear that you've managed to take something that in turn you was almost a negative emotion for a period of time due to the public and common opinion of it, and make it such a passion and love within your life, and you manage to take it to the highest levels and become so good at it. And so good at it. I say that. I'm presuming you're good at it. I've not seen you, Schro.
Been told I'm pretty talented.
There we go. Some people have thrown the word godlike around. But no, it's really nice to hear that you've found that moment and you've found yourself being able to process the negative parts and the less appealing parts of making your way through the arts and being able to process that into a healthy future and a healthy life, and how you're living your life now, and you're putting your absolute all into it and finishing education at the same time and streaming at the same time. How'd you find the time, Schro?
Sometimes I don't. I'm working on juggling that. Again, once I finish this semester, I'll be done with school. School has become a large commitment for me, especially right now. I'm in two math classes, and again, math just doesn't work in my brain as much, so it takes me twice as long. But oof, once I finish up school and don't have to worry about that, I'm pretty excited to say that I think I'm going to be streaming a lot more. Oof.
But firstly, I'm really glad to hear that you're finishing education. I'm. It is no secret that I'm such a big advocate of education. I think education is one of the core rights that I think every single individual in this world should be entitled to. It does not matter if your background, your history, what you've done, what you will do, what might have happened. There is nothing in this life that stops you from learning. And I think whether it is in formal education, in life, in work, in your day to day, I think education is such a powerful, incredible thing that every single individual, past, present, and future, will experience and has to experience to grow. So it's really nice to hear people finishing through education. Because I've worked through so many forms of education. I've got my master's degree, I've got my bachelor's degree, I've got accreditations, and I've got all that good stuff.
Ah.
And I'm a massive, massive advocate for education. But I'm not just an advocate for formal education. I'm an advocate for education in all facets, because I don't think that everybody learns the same way, and I don't think that everybody can necessarily learn in a school what they could learn in the field, or learn in the school what they could learn in the theatre, or learn in school what they could learn in the work. I just think education is a beautiful, powerful, incredible thing that unfortunately so many people in this world are deprived of, or deprive themselves of.
Mm.
Passionate about education.
Oh, yeah. That's why I look up to you so much. You not only are a very intellectual man, you're also, because there's a difference between intelligence and wisdom. Like, you are managing to be so intellectual, so intelligent, like just very smart, but also having this sort of open mind where you're willing to take in even more. And that's where the wisdom comes in. And you are a you are a buff brain, bro. Not just a buff bro, but oof.
You'll make me cry. But no, I really appreciate it. Yeah, like I said, I'm a massive advocate for education, and I don't think you ever stop learning
Mhm.
until you stop, like, living, essentially, for lack of better words. And I just believe that there's no opportunity and there's no moment in life that you don't learn something from. And it doesn't matter whether you remember what you learned, because you at some point it will pop back into your head. And I think one of the most beautiful things in the world is it's kind of it's a double-edged sword, but like, you learn from very core parts of your life, and one of the easiest ways to describe it is learning grief, because when somebody important in your life passes, you remember over a period of time those core memories and those core things you teach, and it tends to be with people like aunties, uncles, grandparents, parents, siblings, and all that kind of things. You remember those little minutiae of little things in life that they taught you. And I think
Mhm.
I think it's just a beautiful thing, that the way that that memory works, and that it just sparks those little moments of intellectualism in your brain. And I think I just love education. I could go on about it for hours, and I have a tendency to. Usually someone needs to stop me.
I love one thing that I love It's it's not listening to anything in particular. Like there's no topic that I love to listen to about, but when it comes to people talking about what they are passionate about, that's what I love to listen to. So it's not like, oh, I love to listen to people talk about Minecraft, or I love to listen to people talk about ballet or education. It's like if you are passionate about something and are speaking about something with like love for the subject or passion for it, it is just so fascinating to listen to that person talk.
No,
Yeah.
I completely agree. I think it doesn't even necessarily matter if someone is right or wrong about a subject that they're speaking about, but if they love it enough to speak about it with such emotion and such passion, then that is a voice that's worth listening to.
Absolutely.
But in life, one of those I've always had this obsession with knowing a little bit about everything. Because if you know a little bit about everything, you will never stop being able to converse.
Mhm.
You will be able to make a friend with anybody in this world if you know a little bit about everything. And it is a journey I'm going through in life where and like people who know me and whether it's online or in real life, there is very seldom something I can't make a conversation about because I just learn these little tidbits and little facts about things. And it's really weird and I don't know why I do it, but I do. And like even before things like us coming on to do this podcast, like I learned like tiny little facts about ballet because like I might not know as much about ballet as like definitely not as you, but as like some people who just enjoy it. I think for one, I don't necessarily need to know as much as I can hear your passion and your love for it, which is just enthralling to listen to. But just knowing those little like tidbits of information to throw in there, I think it's a really fun thing.
I mean, you came in with more than I was expecting. You had some history to Royal Ballet coming in. I was like,
Uh,
whoa,
I know my
I didn't even know when Royal Ballet was invented.
I know my ballet. If it's any consolation, like again another one of those little like tidbits of facts and stuff like that is I know the fact that ballet originated in the Italian Renaissance courts of the 15th century, which is roughly around, and it was roughly around 1460 to 1500 AD, and it was caused by noblemen and women being treated to lavish events and moving in such a specific way that the
Yeah.
monocratic courts just
Oh
addressed it
yeah.
as ballet, and and it got its name from the old Italian and the early Latin and the French word ballo or balletto, and it ever since became ballet. It's things like that. For some reason, that is the information that will stay in my brain. But could I tell you where my keys are? Not a chance.
Hey, I couldn't tell you either one. It's the artist with ADHD. One, I'm losing my keys. Two, I just think about everything creatively. So, in terms of like fun facts or like in-depth information like that, oof, I'm hopeless.
I
But
can never explain it. My mind kind of works like a branch, and I take a leaf, then I take another leaf, and all the leaves are just stored in my brain, and I remember them.
uh, well, if
And I just have
my brain is a tree, then I am getting halfway through each branch before I'm finishing the other half of each branch, before I'm finishing each individual leaf. Like, oh, it is the least efficient way about making a tree, is how my brain works, I like to think.
but you are incredibly beautiful in the way that you do things. So it's okay, Schro. I love the way that your mind works. I love not even for like a potentially more formal setting like this, just speaking to you in general. Even the way that we speak over message, I just like you're one of those people. You're such an incredibly friendly and approachable person that
Oh,
it is so innately easy to like within seconds of meeting you, you have this infectious enthusiasm in everything that you say or do, and there's just this level of humility and humor in everything that you do say, and just your entire aura that it's such an incredible opportunity and
oh
experience
man.
just to speak to you and just to know you. You're just you're just so good, Shrew. We love you, Shrew.
Oh man. Thank you so much. I try my best. I yeah, just I don't want to just say that it's because I was like the feeling of not belonging through ballet, but I just like in knowing that feeling, in going through that, I always try to make it a try to make a huge effort to make sure anybody can belong in a space that I am in control of. And whether it be a one-on-one where I'm in control of how I make that person feel, or whether I'm streaming and I can like kind of set a precedence for how people should be treated in stream. Like I always try to spread as much love and acceptance and sort of comfort in any of those situations. So it's definitely something that I've worked on and try to pride myself in, that
It,
I just want people to feel good about being them.
and it is something that you do so exquisitely. And you will be able to speak to any person who's ever been in your channel, ever interacted with you, ever seen you in another channel. This, you just have an infectious joy that brings so much, like, it's just a general brightness that surrounds you. That
Thank you.
it doesn't matter the situation. Like I've come into your streams before now, and I'm not having the best day, like mentally or physically and whatever, and it doesn't matter because in that moment it's that hey yo,
Hey, yo.
hey yo. That AO is just it doesn't matter where I hear that in the world, that is synonymous with you, and it doesn't matter when I read it in the world, I will say it like you do. And
Yeah.
it's just those little like core memories offer us. It's like that semblance of joy because it doesn't matter where I see AO in the world. I'll read it whether it's out loud or in person. I will say hey yo, and my head immediately goes to you and to your streams and to your community and just to that infectious joy. And it can bring a semblance of happiness even in the darkest days.
Man, that means so much. Thank you so much. Oh, I'm gonna have to get a trademark in AO.
Hey yo, we can do that for you. We'll do that. So when's the AO merch coming, Schro?
Hey, yo.
Hey yo.
Oh, you have to work on merch, I guess.
There's plenty of people that are working on it that I don't know about. Yes, I don't know about
Yeah.
secrets. But yeah, like I say, it's just such a beautiful, infectious energy, and it's just apparent in every single stream that you do, which leads me on to a very simple question: why did you start streaming, Schro?
Why did I start streaming? Oh man.
Yeah. Like, what introduced you to Twitch? What introduced you into the Twitch like sphere and the community sphere, and what made you take that leap and press live for the first time?
Well, this story gets a little bit deep if I'm allowed to touch on that.
My friend, the stage is yours. It is, you can
Okay.
say as much or as little as you like. It is your life, my friend.
Okay, perfect. So obviously like I had been on Twitch like in communities for about 2 years now, where I just watch like assorted games. Like I would watch Smite or Minecraft or Rocket League, anything that like I don't know. It didn't like for me like when it comes to watching streams, it doesn't matter what game they're playing as long as I like the person, like the energy. So I had been on Twitch for about 2 years just to hang out, just to be with people. And then when I got my first computer, my first PC, I started playing Minecraft. And so I started watching more Minecraft streamers. And I got into a lot of people and got nice with communities and it was really fun. And I was always thinking like, oh, I bet I need to get a lot of stuff done. I bet I need a lot of hardware, a lot of fancy streaming things to get started in streaming. And so I never actually took that leap, even though I wanted to, even though I felt like I could be somewhat successful in it. And then last summer, I kind of hit a point in this is the deep part. I hit a point in my vices in where I was consuming way more alcohol than I should have been, and I was becoming a sort of destructive energy to myself, and I needed to change things. And this was um, when I had this realization, it was actually 11 months ago yesterday. So, which also just so happens to be um, a week before I started streaming for the first time. So, streaming was a way that I could have fun both with myself and with others without needing to drink. Because before, that's what I would do. Like, oh, I'm feeling anxious. I'm feeling stressed. I'm feeling upset. I'm going to lean on this vice. And so, in a way, streaming became my other vice, where I got to play games that I love and talk to people that would help me through these feelings and through these urges and all of these things, where I could be accepted and have my own community where I could feel uplifted and safe and also make other people feel uplifted and safe. So that's one of the reasons why I got into streaming. That's why I kind of took that jump and actually got into it. And that's why in about a month I'm going to be hitting a year of streaming and 1 year of sobriety. So
Look at you
pretty
go.
excited about that.
Yeah. And it's one of the things I already knew this story, but I was wondering to what detail you were going to, because I know this story
Oh,
because you've told it me in the past, and I think it's an incredible story, and there is there is multiple sides to the pros and the cons of streaming and being a quote unquote content creator on the internet, but when you find the right people and the right community and the right games and the right times, that it creates a such a safe space that negatives in your life really don't matter anymore, because it creates this little bubble. And especially for someone with an energy as infectious of joy, I need to stop calling it infectious because it sounds bad, but it means, I mean, infectious with the
I
joy.
mean, in terms of Schro, I think it is pretty bad.
But I think it's incredible that you've managed to take, because especially in the arts, having like vices is a super common thing 'cause it's such a high stress
Mhm.
environment, and you've managed to realize your own like misfallings and kind of thing, and
Mhm.
find a better option. And we are so incredibly grateful that it ended up being streaming, and through one way or another that you slowly found your way. Well, we found our way to you.
Oh yeah, yeah,
So
yeah. I'm so glad that I managed to take this road and managed to meet so many amazing people along the way. And I think this is one of the reasons why, like, when you said, like, didn't know what detail I was going to go into, I love oversharing. Because, like, the more I share, I feel like the more people can get to know me. Like, vulnerability is one of my favorite things. I love being vulnerable. I know it's really hard for some people, but I love just sharing because I want people to understand me. I want people to understand where I'm coming from, because in a lot of ways, I'm not, obviously I'm great at expressing myself, but I'm not as good at getting my point across. Sometimes I'm not as good with my words. So if people fully understand me, then they can fully understand my actions without me having to explain them. So and then if you understand them, then you can relate to them. You can, like, maybe learn from them. Like, I just feel like that's the best way to be, and it makes me feel more safe and more understood. And
yeah, no, I completely get it, 'cause I'm different in a lot of ways. 'Cause I'm an immensely private person, but I'm honest to a fault. I don't see the point in
Mhm.
about lying things. So people ask me something, and if it's an answer I think they need or deserve, then I'm more than happy to share it with them. And like I'm different. Like, don't get me wrong, I am more than happy to tell people whatever they would like to know. But I build up trust over time, and I release little snippets of my life, and like people who know me, especially people who are starting to get to know me through Twitch and through all that kind of stuff. I kind of drip feed information, so it's always it's not strange. It's different for me to see somebody who's so open and so honest and in such a beautiful, incredible way, and and finding a way to take your experiences in your life and finding a way to connect with people in so many different ways. It's so nice and so refreshing to see that, because it's very different from how I approach life, but it's just lovely to see at the same time.
It's yeah. Obviously, it's a hard story to share, but if it's going to end up helping somebody, then word.
Yeah, and I can fully. You probably have helped more people than you realize.
Yeah.
It's a very weird thing, in especially with streaming, because you have an idea of who's regularly in your chat, but there is always probably at least one person who, even if they just came by for a minute or two, you probably never even noticed they were there, but they were there for that moment, and they either heard your story or they felt your energy, and they felt how much you're enjoying what you're doing and loving what you're doing, and that semblance of happiness and that semblance of stability, that's probably helped them in more ways than you will ever realize. And I do genuinely think that every time you stream, every time you talk to people, I think your 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 incredible aptitude for this positivity and looking for the best in a situation, which has its downfalls, and there's been dark times in that situation. You've found the positives in that, and you've found the positive outlook and way to move forward in life. And I think that those moments, every single time that you stream or speak to somebody, I think you are genuinely helping someone, whether they realize it there and then, or whether they realize it over time. And like I said, in those moments where like I hear the word AO, and I think of you, and I think about the happy moments that we shared on stream and on servers and stuff like that. I think those little tidbits and those little like moments of memory, I think are an incredible thing, and I think you do genuinely help people more than you could ever possibly know.
Thank you so much for that. Oh man, making me all bashful over
Oh,
here.
look, yeah, just three red lines in either one of your cheeks.
I've always said if I have smile lines by the time I'm 30, I'm doing something right. I know people don't want to have wrinkles, but if I've got smile lines, I feel like I'm almost getting them now. But
Oh, I'm weird. I don't actually smile. I'm weird. I don't smile that much, even though I'm happy, and I don't know
mm,
why. I just never have. And like I'm weird in the way that I express emotion. I'm quite a solemn individual. Like I'm very solitude. Like I'm the kind of person that if you need someone to just sit and listen, I'm very good at that, because my emotion in my face doesn't really change that much. Again, I don't know. Even though I was an actor and I can change it by choice. It's kind of, I feel like I'm putting up a false front if I change it for people who actually just need someone to sit and listen. And it's something I always found weird, because I'm genuinely happy with several, if not most parts of my life. Yeah, sure, there's downsides, there's bad parts of my life, but for a large amount of my life, like take streaming and take my friends and take like me playing the games I love and doing the things I love and take me in the gym, they are things that make me genuinely happy in this world. And I've always been very strange, because I don't show it like normal people do. That is to say, what is a normal person? But I'm very weird in the way like my face just sits straight, and I've never known it. I always just look very serious.
I mean, I think it's very obvious in the way that you show compassion and care and like love for people. So I don't think the facial expression is even all that important because it is very apparent whether or not you like see your face emoting throughout it. Like you make it very clear, and I think that's what makes it so amazing coming from you. So
You're too kind. You're too kind.
I me, I'm always smiling. I am like
No,
my emotions are very what is it? Amplified and reflected on my face. So like if I'm upset, you can tell. If I'm happy, you can tell. If I've had way too much coffee, you can absolutely tell. Like
where
very easily read.
yeah. Whereas for me, I'm quite even him in his underwear, according to chat.
Yeah.
Whereas for me, it's slightly different over message. Like I convey things differently over message. But like if you were to say if you were to spend a week with me, the only way you can really tell in my emotional change tends to be through the I put more emotion in my voice than I do in my body. And like some people find me really hard to read whether I'm happy, whether I'm sad, whether I'm upset, whether I'm angry. Because for one, I don't get angry in life. I
Hmm.
just don't really get angry, and that's a whole another story. But I just kind of I just I just go about my life. I'm very relaxed in life. I'm an incredibly relaxed person, and even in those moments I get stressed, honestly, within moments I can just carry on. I can just move forward in life, and like in terms of like not getting angry, like I used to in things in the past, but I used to have a bit of a flair with my anger, and it has its own long backstory that is probably longer than this podcast. But like I reached a certain point in life where it's just like it just doesn't matter. Like I was getting angry at things that didn't require being angry at, so I genuinely just one day just chilled out. And not to say this will work for anybody else in the world. I reached this very small point in my life where it's just like it's causing me more harm to be angry or to be upset about things that don't require me to be upset or angry about. So I kind of just carried on my life in a very relaxed fashion, and I've been doing that for a few years now, and I am just very relaxed all the time. If that
I
makes
love that.
sense.
Oh no, absolutely. I feel like in my time the last 11 months, I feel like I've been able to sort of find that same sort of process where I'll encounter a situation where stressors are involved, where something would have set me off. Because, yeah, I also found myself being angry or upset or really stressed or really anxious quite often. And just being able to take a step back when those sort of things happened that would have set me off in the past and just look at it from a different lens, different perspective, and say, why is this stressing me out? What are the underlying variables in this that are making me feel this way? And being able to kind of put it in perspective for myself. And it's made it a lot easier. It's limited my stress a lot.
Yeah.
Obviously, I'm still feeling stressed sometimes, but
Yeah, absolutely. We're
it's
only human, but I think I just reached a point where I very much just sat there and was like, how much does this actually affect me?
mhm.
Like what this person's saying, what is happening, what they're doing. How much when I like say if it's happening on stream or if it's happening at work, when I end my stream or when I go home from work, do I need to think about it? No. Time to carry on with life.
Oh, yeah.
And like I said, that is not to say that this is applicable for everyone, because everyone has their own emotional spectrum of how they deal with every single thing in the world. And I don't believe it's a right way or a wrong way to feel anything. Everyone is entitled to feel the way they feel about any single thing. But for me, I'm chilled.
Just chilling.
I'm just chilling.
Love that. Oh man.
But yeah, I think emotion is a very wide spectrum, and
Oh yeah.
people are entitled to feel how they feel whenever they want to feel it.
Yeah, it's one of those things where everybody feels all of the different emotions, but different people process anger differently, different people process stress differently, different people process anxiety differently. So it's yeah, you just have to figure out what works for you and how to go about those problems. And it's once you find that, it's the clarity and sort of calmness when you realize, is this a one-off thing? Do I have to continue to stress about this? Or is this something that happened once and is never going to happen again and isn't worth truly stressing over? And I feel like that's the sort of clarity that I found
Yeah.
is the I don't need to stress about this. I can just let it go.
Yeah,
And
it's very much like taking your first deep breath after being having a stuffy nose for a few days. because
Hmm.
in that moment of clarity, you just like you understand the situation and understand how you feel about the situation, and you can just move forward with your life. And it's
Hmm.
something that is you learn to do it at a young age, you learn to do it at an old age, you might never learn to do it at all. But that you everyone should just try sometimes. Try to see if you can experience it. And if you can't, that's absolutely fine. You're your own unique individual person who reacts however you would like to react. But it's nice to not have to be as stressed about so many things, because there is plenty of things in life that require a little bit of stress to work. And like
Hmm.
you'll know yourself working in ballet. Like occasionally, you need a little bit of stress to get that performance done.
Oh yeah, yeah. There's certain times when you need to put pressure on yourself
Yeah,
and get things done and put the extra effort in, but it's very easy to get trapped in that mindset where
yeah,
it's that, oh, if I'm capable of putting this pressure on myself and working this hard right now, then I am able to do it all the time. And although you would think, oh, working hard or putting the pressure on myself, that's good, it's actually really destructive and can really hurt you. And it's
yeah.
just learning what you can take easy, what you've already got, what you just, what not coast through, but what you don't have to put your full energy into. And yeah, it ends up creating much more fluid and like calm movements,
Indeed, balance.
which yeah,
It's a balance.
balance.
It's
Yes.
finding that balance and that semblance of understanding in life.
Hmm.
And like it's a weird thing to see life through all the different spectrums and understand it, because you can never truly understand what somebody else is feeling. But sometimes it's worth taking the time to try and understand how you're feeling,
Hmm.
because it's really hard sometimes to know how you feel, especially when you get to the more pinpoint emotions, things like anger and being upset. It's really hard to understand why you're upset or what is wrong or what's causing the anger. So sometimes just try to spend a bit of time with yourself. Get to know yourself better, because you are incredible.
Thank you.
Now it's at this point. Whenever I do a podcast with somebody, I never tell them I'm going to do it. But it's at this point I want you to ask me a question. I'm flipping it over. I'm reversing those roles, because I love to hear, if you put someone on the spot, what would they ask?
And
What would they ask me? It could be something simple. It could be something like what outfield. Because I do podcasting very much in my own way. Like, because
oh,
there's a lot of different templates to doing a podcast. Whether it's those people who are just reading the news, whether people are looking for the bestseller or looking for controversy. I just sit and talk to people who I find interesting and that I think are great people. I try to find out a little bit more about them and find out what their takes on the world are.
ah, okay. Well, in that case, I know you touched on how you put a lot of work in the last few years to regulate how you process things so you don't so that you aren't reacting with anger and so that you don't have these sort of reactions. What is like, other than that, what is the biggest obstacle slash thing that you've had to overcome and process that has impacted your streaming slash other work? Like, what's your other, like, what's another obstacle that has gotten in your way that you've overcome?
That is a really good question. I I've had a weird life. I've had lots of good and lots of bad in my life. I didn't necessarily have a conventional upbringing in any sense. My educational faculties were unfortunately fairly standard. Like I went to good
Mhm.
schools, but I was bullied for many years, based on like my weight and things like that. But I think one of my
Mhm.
biggest obstacles that has offered mental clarity in the last year or so, I'm definitely going to say, because I would definitely say I've got a lot better in the last year or so, because I like when I took my last extended hiatus from streaming, it was because of my mental health. I was feeling myself get on top of myself, and I was feeling myself slipping in a lot of
Hmm.
ways. And I think one of the biggest things that has pushed me forward is balancing maintaining my physical health as well as my mental health. And
Hmm.
because during COVID, I've always been a bigger guy. I'm never going to be skinny in my life. Like my bone structure won't even support me being skinny. Like if you look at like all of the men in my family, we've all got broad shoulders. We're all really tall. We've all got long legs, and
Hmm.
but we're all bigger in the sense of weight and to a degree fat as well. And I during COVID, I spent so much time doing and like I was streaming, and then I was working and I was doing stuff, and there was no time for myself. I was living quite unhealthily in many degrees, whether it's alcohol, whether it's food, or whether it's other aspects, and I just really wasn't taking care of myself. And like for, in a long roundabout way, this is going to come back to Buff Bros, but
Of course.
yeah, but it's my biggest hurdle to overcome was my own physical health, because
Mm.
in the last year or so with going to the gym, moving in with my best friend who helps me immensely because he's going through the same journey that I'm going through. I think making that transition to care for my physical health has improved my mental health infinitely.
Hmm.
And I think since I moved off of just kind of I believe that life should have a lot of freedom, but I think every person needs to set a sense of routine, because complete freedom if you give someone an entire day to do absolutely anything they want to do, they'll run out of things to do in a few hours. And I think having that sense of routine being brought into my life and basically taking that time to care for myself in more than just one way, taking care of my body, taking care of my mind, taking care of my diet, taking care of just myself in general, I think that has been the biggest obstacle to overcome. I think because I put myself into a position where I was incredibly comfortable, but not in a good way. I was comfortable in
Hmm.
eating terribly. Like I'm all for treating yourself. I'm all for getting some like, eat bad food sometimes. If you want to go out and drink and that's what you do, then go do it. You should enjoy yourself sometimes. But moderation is key, and I had no sense of moderation at the time, and I'd let myself put on
Hmm.
loads and loads of weight. I was incredibly unhealthy at the time, and my mental health took a really bad turn for it. And that was actually the reason that I took my last hiatus off Twitch, because I took one short one to finish my degree. Just kind of needed the time to finish up my dissertation. They're incredibly large documents that need finishing up and need to be perfect when you submit them.
Hmm.
And then I came back for a few weeks, and then I just felt myself slipping, and then I slipped straight into that hole, and that was pretty much it for the best part of 6 months. I was stuck in a rut. I was working a job that I hated. I wasn't getting any exercise. I wasn't looking after myself. I was eating terribly. I wasn't looking after myself physically or mentally. And then over time, as the opportunity arose to move to a different town, move in with my best friend, start the gym, start a new job, start a new routine of life, and start basically afresh, I think that offered the sense of mental clarity that's let me basically come forward to where I am today, where I can come back to streaming. I can spend the time with my friends. I feel better at myself. I feel happy, whereas I did not have happiness for a long time in my life, and I feel happy again. And I think like that biggest hurdle from going from being comfortable to becoming happy, like in a roundabout way, through the gym and through my own routines. I think that's been the biggest thing for me over the last year or so. That's let me go from being what I was to what I am, if that makes
Hmm.
sense.
Absolutely. I mean, so well put as well.
I have a tendency to over explain things.
Oh, I'm right there with you.
Yeah, I'm the
Mm.
king. I'm the king of an anecdote. Because I will start speaking about something which will lead into another anecdote in my mind, and but yeah, and it will start just spiraling until I've told you 10 stories for the sake of one.
Understandable. You know, I totally understand your the struggle that you went through. Obviously, like I don't totally fully understand it. Like I'm here and I'm listening, but obviously you going through it, you've got more clarity on it than I would. But in terms of handling moderation in the steps that you had to go through to learn how to sort of contain urges that you would normally just go for when moderation was an issue, like I fully understand that struggle, and I am have been working recently to also just be better with moderation, because it's a hard thing
Yeah,
when you realize that it is easy to have certain things. Once you realize like like they're easy to obtain. Like you can
yeah,
get lots of food for cheap, you can get lots of alcohol for cheap, you can get lots of other things without spending too much money. And if you get to a point where you're like, well, why can't I have all of it? It's really easy to just go forward and take all of it. And learning to control urges like that is insanely difficult,
yeah.
shows a lot of strength and fortitude. And yeah, I understand that. And that's what I've been working towards as well. And yeah, no, I think it's really commendable that you've been able to take that sort of steps in those learning processes, and you've been able to make such progress. I think that's really, really amazing, Prav.
Thank you. But yeah, it's moderation. Moderation's such a unique thing in life where it's so hard to moderate so many things in life, but you kind of got to pick and choose those few things that need to be moderated for your own sake, but not only for your own sake, but for the own sake about those who care, for the sake of those who care about you, and for the people that you surround
Hmm.
yourself with.
Hmm. Yeah.
But I will say that is probably the best question that somebody's asked. When I've come to turn around to somebody and ask them, ask me the question, that is probably the deepest question I've been asked, and for me that has made it probably the best question. It's a question that's it's deep, it's personal, and it's intellectually wrought with thought, and
I know.
it instigates so many thoughts, and I love questions like that. It's what, like I said earlier, where I don't necessarily overshare, and I don't necessarily share things.
Hmm.
For me in the weird jumbled up way that my mind works, it's an intellectual experience to share things like that.
Yeah. I like I said, I love vulnerability. I think it's one of the easiest ways to get to know people, easiest ways to share your experiences. And yeah, it just makes a very, I don't know, it's a very intimate sort of thing to show vulnerability. And I think yeah, it just feels nice.
Yeah,
Feels nice. And
and
I think it's really amazing, and it shows a lot of strength to be able to be vulnerable and tell those things that you normally wouldn't. So yeah, no. I look up to you a lot, Prof. I'm sure I've said that about 10 times in our
yeah.
Discord messages and in
Yeah,
Dragonfell
you
itself.
have.
But
We've had this back and forth and this rapport the entire time because I say the same thing to you because I like I've mentioned earlier, it's just this infectious energy, and I think going back to like when we're talking just then about the vulnerability and opening up, because anybody can open up or be vulnerable when they feel it's right and when they feel they want to, but there's certain people in the world who make it easy because there's certain people who are incredibly understanding and some people who listen with open arms, and you are absolutely one of those individuals. And like for not just me in that situation then speaking to you about it, I feel like anybody in this world could be in that situation speaking to you about anything, and you can just feel that there is such a sheer lack of judgment, and like you can feel just a sense of acceptance of someone who's actually listening, and not just listening but actually caring about what you're saying. And like even though you didn't really say anything in those moments whilst I'm speaking, you can feel it, you can feel that like that translation in your reaction to it and how you speak about it afterwards, and even just bringing up the question to begin with. These are the type of things that can that give you that show you to be of strong character, because there's being strong in so many different ways, but to being strong in the sense that you can understand somebody and speak to somebody without judgment is one of the harder things in this world, and I think you do it exceptionally.
mm, yeah, I just I don't know. I feel like when it comes to mental, like mental and emotional strength, I kind of would prioritize that over physical strength. Obviously, I'm a buff bro. I'm hitting the gym. Like we're
Of
looking
course,
good. We're
of
looking good.
course.
We're feeling good. But you can, in terms of like helping out a friend, like there's a very like I love analogies. I love to compare things, but like I think although helping somebody move, like you're physically in there using your physical strength to help them move boxes, move furniture, like that's a huge help. But if somebody has got a mental or emotional burden that they're going through, and you are only capable of helping in a physical sense, then it's not as beneficial. So
Yeah,
I try to always both help and present myself in a way that is open to listening and helping process and just trying my best to understand people
it
to
is
help
what
them get through those sort of struggles. Because in my mind, I've had to overcome a lot more mental struggles than I have physical struggles. So that's
yeah,
what I've prioritized.
and but it is something you do exceptionally. And
Thank you.
as I said, you are just such a warm and caring person, and it's just you can feel it. We are literally talking through cold machinery, and I can feel the heat coming from you. And it's just something, but like it's something so nice that you put forward, and it was something that was mentioned just then in chat. I read that it's so nice to have this conversation as well because we are only just bridging into the new era because it was really not very long ago at all in which it was taboo for men to talk about their feelings and talk about their mental health and their physical health. It was taboo
Mm,
for men to just speak about anything that is above a baseline of understanding of masculinity. And
mm,
it's so nice that now we have a platform in which we can sit here and we can speak about how we feel emotionally and physically, and not just how we feel emotionally and physically now, but how we felt emotionally and physically our entire lives. And it's so nice to be able to do that, and so nice to be in this new generation where it's not a taboo. It's okay to talk about how you feel. So there's years of individuals that can't do that, or they struggle to do that because they've been brought up in a sense that you can't do it. And it's just so nice to be able to talk about feelings with people because you just don't get to do it enough anymore.
mhm. Yeah. It's yeah. It yeah. In term yeah.
This has definitely been the most emotional podcast. I would definitely say that.
Oh yeah. I understand like in terms of like the ideal or what is it? What am I trying to say? The what ideal man, the like stereotypical like society's vision of masculinity, and it's like strength, but again it all focus like all of that masculine like stereotype focuses on physical strength,
Yeah,
and all of that sort of like emotional strength, emotional maturity, like knowing how to regulate your emotions gets swept under the rug because nothing is more masculine than physical strength. And I think that sort of idea is like you said, like a little outdated, but
yeah,
like it's kind of hard to overcome that sort of idea of it. But I love talking about feelings. It's
yeah.
one of my favorite things to do.
It's something I've definitely because I very much grew up in a household where my father loves me to a fault, but he's old fashioned. He's not the person I
Mhm.
necessarily go speak to feelings about and stuff like that. And I don't necessarily blame him because he was brought up that way. He knows no different really. But it's so nice to be able to move forward in that schism in life and be able to just openly talk about how I feel. Because, like you said, there's this ideal view of masculinity, which is the physical strength. It's the burly guy who can lift the world. But
Mhm.
what's the point of putting the world on your shoulders if you're crying whilst you do it? Like,
Ooh. 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 Anybody else in chat got chills? Golly. Ooh.
but yeah,
Point in putting the world on your shoulder if you're crying while you do it. Oh.
mental fortitude and resilience is something that needs to be understood in modern day, and the world is getting so much better at it. It's getting so much better about it and a lot more understanding. But yeah, I think we're getting a lot better at it, and like I say, it's been lovely to speak about it with you because you have
Oh, absolutely.
this incredibly infectious positive energy that I enjoy thoroughly. I just love speaking to you just in general, just as a person, as a friend, as a
Buff, bro.
buff bro, and I think it's just lovely. It really is just lovely. You are just genuinely one of the nicest people I know.
Ah,
Not
thank you.
and not just like in actions, but in like emotion, in physicality, in treatment, in judgment. You are just so kind, Schro.
I appreciate it. And I have really appreciated and enjoyed not only talking to you here, but in any sort of instance where we've interacted. It's always a pleasure. You're a fantastic, well spoken, intellectual, and very upstanding man. And I truly appreciate both your friendship as well as your uh, sort of work together in a more professional, like server based sort of interactions. Like you're phenomenal. I look up to you so much. I yeah, very much appreciate you, Prof.
And I look up to you too. So let's just meet eye to let's meet eye to eye.
Eye to eye. I may need a step stool, but I'll get there.
I'll pop a squat. It's okay.
Papa Squat's my drag name, so
uh, I don't doubt that for a second. I can't say mine. My, I, I would tell you mine at a future date. It's not something I could say to the public, especially not whilst live on Twitch.
I love it. Oh
There,
man.
there is a photo I will show you at some point, and all I can say is these legs look good in heels. That's all I'm gonna say.
Oh, I love it so much. Holy cow.
This has definitely been a podcast for quotes.
Yeah. Oh
Yeah,
yeah.
Papa Scott's my drag name.
Hey, quads like these.
Oh, it's beautiful. No, the net, providing that you don't need to go anywhere, I do have more questions for you, Shara.
Oh yeah?
Yeah,
What's
because
up?
because basically I want to get to know you even more. And
Of course.
I'm strange in a sense that I pay a lot more attention to things than people realize, and then I forget about them until the moment. But the next thing I want to broach you upon is anime.
Ooh,
Yeah.
I'm listening.
Sorry, I just read chat. From the deep to the beep. Oh.
Oh man, if there's one thing about me, I've just got to break tension, whether it be good tension or bad tension. Sometimes you feel enough, you just have to make a joke.
Yeah, it's got to be done. Humor is an incredible remedy to many things in life, and I'm a big fan of it.
Hmm.
But yeah, the next thing I wanted to speak to you about is anime because you're not shy about your love for anime, nor am I,
Oh no. Oh no.
and it is something that I immensely enjoy. And we both share an incredible love for Hunter x Hunter
Oh, so much.
to the point it is possible. It was one of the animes that got me into anime. That and things like Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood and all that good stuff.
Ooh.
What in your life draws you to anime as a form of content?
Oh, I feel like you kind of know the answer to this question. I feel like I talk about it a lot, but there's a lot of anime protagonists that I feel follow or have followed or do follow the same sort of path that I have, where all of them are a little bit odd in their own ways. Um, I think Hunter x Hunter is one of the few that does not actually like follow this same sort of theme. But in another one that I've been watching, Black Clover.
Oh, we love
I
Black
don't know if
Clover.
you've seen that. Oh,
Have you seen the new
yes.
movie?
I have. I'm not fully caught up. I'm
Uh,
like episode
uh,
160. I gotta
uh,
catch up because I know the movie's coming out.
the Yeah, the movie's out now. It's on Netflix. I'm trying
Oh
to.
my gosh.
I don't know the episode number, but the movie itself doesn't necessarily. It's not canon to the end of where the anime is at currently.
Okay, gotcha. So I might be
Uh,
able to watch it before I'm ready. Okay,
yeah, we will
perfect.
speak off stream about where you're up to, and I will tell you whether you can watch the movie or not.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, like most anime protagonists, like Asta, he's like you learn all of this in the first episode, so none of this is spoiler, but he's a short, like smaller than usual, like worked harder than anybody else, like but he's living in a world of magic and he has zero magic. He's like the only one in the kingdom with no magic at all. But he worked so hard, worked harder than anybody else. And he's like competing with the top dogs. Like he has overcome so much with the few tools and the few things that he has. So, in terms of like action based animes, I just I love being able to connect with the same sort of story that the main protagonist goes through. Another one that does the same, like Naruto, is a little bit more mainstream. Like Naruto has got this unmatchable potential, but like he just there were so many things that happened to him early on that pushed him down, pushed him down, pushed him down. And the only thing that kept him going was his own will to succeed and his like mental fortitude that he wanted to be the best. Believe it. And that's like the sort of thing that really draws me into anime is just being able to make these connections with myself where I'm like the amount of times that I'll watch an anime about like magic or like superpowers and abilities and then think I cannot wait to go into the ballet studio tomorrow and show that same sort of passion to work just as hard as Asta or just as hard as Gon or just as hard as Naruto did in this episode. Like I sound so lame saying it,
I
but
know
it's
you
like
don't
I
though. It's a beautiful translation between enjoyment of one art form and converting it into another art form. And
it's
I think that's an immensely beautiful thing that you can take your
yeah,
absolute drive and passion for something that you enjoy watching and convert it into something you enjoy doing.
yeah. Oh,
It's beautiful, I think.
yeah, it's the enjoying listening to people talk about what they're passionate about. That makes me feel passionate. It's the same thing when I watch anime, like being able to like see somebody working hard
Yeah.
and then wanting to work hard myself.
And
It's
I think you've really hit the nail on the head really well with Black Clover as well, because Asta as a protagonist, all the way throughout, he like one of the most common things he says is his magic, whilst he has no
oh,
magic, is never
oh,
giving up, and that is such a
oh,
beautiful thing. And I think that something as simple as that is easily inspiring a generation to know that no matter if you're
mhm.
the underdog, it doesn't matter if you have the drive and you have the passion. Like just like Asta wants to be the Wizard King, you what's stopping you?
Mm. Yeah, I love that quote so much. That my magic is never giving
Yeah.
up. Oh, every time he says it in the show, I get chills. I giggle like a little schoolgirl, like it's it's like the mantras too, because it's always uh and then obviously like Naruto is believe it, and then
Yeah.
uh they're all it's
Yeah, and I think it's just in a lovely philosophy in life as
mhm,
well. And like I've translated it myself in several times in life, and especially in the educational sector in terms of archaeology, which is what I study. Is archaeology is trying to understand something that we can't potentially understand. But there's several
mhm.
fields of studies in archaeology that I kind of laughed at and joked at and that not really studied, and I've always been the person to study those things. And I
Hmm.
believe, like, in the same vein as my magic is never giving up, my magic is saying yes to those who've been told no their entire life.
Mm.
And I think giving people that opportunity to do something where everyone has said no just because it doesn't necessarily make sense to them, I think that is where so many people are going wrong in life.
Hmm.
Say yes sometimes. Live life. You never know what might
Oh
happen.
yeah.
What's the worst that could happen? You were wrong. Oh well.
Oh yeah.
I think
Oh.
anime is such an incredible, beautiful art form, and it gets this necessarily like unnecessary rap is just being understood as Japanese cartoons, but it's so much more. The level of detail and
Oh
story
yeah.
in anime, don't get me wrong, there is some that are questionable, to say the least. If you know, you know. But there is like, especially you see it a lot in shonen animes
Hmm.
because they are at the forefront of the Japanese media. That the level of detail and the underlying stories they put in them are breathtaking.
Hmm. Absolutely.
And again, going back to my magic is never giving up. It's so nice. It's just it's someone who lives in a world full of magic but doesn't have magic gets further than everybody else just by trying his hardest.
Mm.
And
It, yeah.
like you mentioned, I think that it correlates so beautifully into your career field of, like we spoke about earlier, that you don't necessarily have the stereotypical physique to
Hmm.
be a ballet dancer, but that doesn't matter because you didn't give up. You had the people telling you to give up and saying that it's not what you should be doing, but then you went to the camp and you loved it again, and you've been inspired by the theatrics of what your parents did in your early life, and you've put all of your dynamics and all of your energy into it, and you're reaching the professional level of what you're doing, and it is going back to it. I genuinely think I'm just going to name this podcast Schro's Inspiring.
Oh man, good lord.
Either that or just Infectious Love. That sounds a lot worse.
Ooh,
That sounds a lot worse though.
infectious love. Yeah. Wow.
Apply ointment
Ooh.
3 times a day.
Yeah, I
Ew.
was about to say we need some antibiotics for that infectious love.
Gosh darn infectious love. What are we gonna do about
Man. Oh.
that? But yeah, this has just been an absolutely lovely and just pleasurable experience talking to you, Shro. I've had a genuinely
Oh,
lovely time finding out.
me as well.
Yeah, there's things that obviously like we've spoke about that I knew to a degree about you and you spoke about before, but I found a lot more detail about them and being able to speak to you directly one to one. I've been able
Mhm.
to understand your emotion behind them and your sincerity in that everything that you say. And I think this has just been just a lovely experience. It just has been nice. There's no other way to describe it. It's just been nice.
Mm. You know, I've absolutely enjoyed this so much. I don't think we haven't had an opportunity to talk this intensively and for as long a period of time as we have right here. And that has been nice, but also just being able to open up about all of these things all at once in one setting is really
Yeah.
refreshing, really nice. And yeah, I feel
In
like I've
yeah,
learned a lot.
in normal conversation, you like things get brought up, but you can't just candidly drop your entire life's trauma in 1 hour sitting. But I love having conversations like this. It's one of the reasons I love doing podcasts as well. And like, obviously, I had to bring a stop to them because I couldn't do them at the time. But now I'm loving the idea of bringing them back. And I just think it's such a nice thing to do because you can find out so much about somebody in such a short period of time. And I just think it's a beautiful way for not just me to understand someone like yourself, but also for anybody who listens to it to understand both of us at great detail. Because there's no bright lights distracting everything. Because I will be releasing this just as audio probably, and then maybe like a picture in the background or something like that, depending on where I upload it. And I just
Oh,
think
word.
it brings just a nice level to what we are doing, and it's just nice to get to know somebody.
It is. This has been a fantastic experience.
It's just been lovely. I've had such a lovely time speaking to you, Schro.
Me as well.
I won't distract you from your day any further.
Oh, it's been a fantastic distraction.
I'm glad you think that.
Um,
I've thoroughly enjoyed it. I couldn't think of when I came up with this idea to include this in the subathon and finally get because we like I said earlier we we spoke about doing this ages ago, like a long time
yeah.
ago, and then you got busy, and when you weren't busy, I was
Mhm.
busy, and then when I wasn't busy, you were busy, and we just kept
I
going
know.
this back and forth, and I'm so glad that we've been able to do this and been able to do this during my subathon, which really does warm my heart because I've been live for 17 hours now. I know I wasn't here for 45 minutes of it, but I've been live for 17 hours of straight content. There's
Oh
still
god.
2 hours and 40 on the clock as well.
Oh
And
yeah, you're
this,
not ending.
no, and just this conversation, this period of time speaking to you has just been so revitalizing because I was quite tired, and yeah, I had the break, and I was quite tired, but having such a in-depth, vulnerable, intellectual conversation with somebody who I care about as a friend, I just think it's been so nice, and like the love for you in chat's been pouring out as well.
Oh, I this is it's been fantastic. Like you said, getting to know you more, but also just getting to more understand the way that you think about things and the way that you process things and like the sort of struggles that you have been through and overcome, and it gives more insight to the strength you have and kind of where your compassion comes from, and I think that's really fantastic.
Thank you so much. And I do genuinely feel like we both have enough stories to do a second part of to this podcast at
Hey,
some
at
point in
some
the future.
point.
At some point in the future. And
Yeah.
I think that could be a really fun idea. But I just want to say a massive thank you for joining me during this show. Because I know you said that you'd be available, but it's just nice to know that someone cares enough, especially like this subathon means so much to me, and it's creating so many opportunities for me later in life, and it's been such just a heartwarming experience doing this subathon show. The amount of people who've come in just outpouring love, even people who don't know me that well, have just come in and
Was
just it's just been showering me with love, chaotic love, but love.
chaotic love. It's the best kind.
Yeah, and to have someone like you who like I said, I care about deeply as a friend, and I think you're just such an incredible, warming, beautiful individual. Yeah, I just want to thank you so much for being here, and I think this is a very integral point in my streaming career and just my career in life, and I want to thank you so much for being here with me for it.
Oh, it's been a pleasure. Thank you so much for having me.
Apparently, hold. I'm just reading
Holding,
chat.
holding.
I'm holding Schro. Schro's holding me,
We're holding each other. One last embrace.
and they were roommates.
Oh, okay.
Okay, but yeah, thank you so much for joining me on
Of course.
this part of this wild adventure that has been my subathon and for being the podcast. And I can't wait to publish this podcast. And
Oh, I can't wait either.
I'm really glad that decided to record it separately instead of pulling it from the VOD, because that means I have to sift through 17 hours worth of VOD. So yeah, I'm gonna get this uploaded, and I'll be sure to let you know where I'm uploading it at the time.
Perfect.
And I'm really looking forward to people. Not obviously, there's a lot of people here. There's some people actually here. Some people lurking. Some people like Melly sent me a tweet early. Ninty is literally cuddled up on the couch, watching this on the TV while snapping, and I think that's
Oh,
beautiful. And I can't wait for everybody else across all of our massive, beautiful, extended community to be able to listen to this. Because I think this has been a really important, beautiful conversation that we've had today.
oh yeah, me too. This has been fantastic. Yeah. Appreciate you asking me to be a part of it.
It's been my pleasure, and honestly, when I thought about bringing back the podcast and bringing in a new iteration of the podcast. I remember when I spoke to Rug about it, without a shadow of a doubt and without a moment's hesitation, you were the first name. You were the first name that came up, and that
I'm a fascinating guy.
you are, and that name has not changed this entire time. No matter how many people I've met, don't mind. There's people that in future I think would be fun to do podcasts, but that first one back and that first opportunity to speak to somebody, not a moment's hesitation in my mind has changed or wavered from the fact of it's been you. Oh, I want to get you on a podcast. And I want to speak to you, Schro.
Oh man, well, it was fantastic. I've never been involved in a podcast before, but
You have now.
I know.
Yeah,
I feel like a professional.
you are. Yeah, and you've done really well. Some people struggle to last. Like we've gone for an hour and 40 minutes.
Oh, yeah, I'm a talker. You're a talker.
Yeah.
I got to work on my accent for the next one, I think.
I'll do yours. You do mine.
Perfect. Oh, no.
But I'm gonna slowly bring it to an end here because otherwise this will come to a point where this will become no, you hang up because I won't hang up.
Yeah, no. I hope the rest of your hopefully more than 2.5 hours goes swimmingly.
Thanks so
And,
much,
yeah,
Schro. It's been a
of course.
pleasure. It's been a pleasure,
Such a
and
pleasure.
thanks so much, Schro. Goodbye.
Goodbye.